Brother Charlie Rice, and we're going to be talking a little bit on intermittent fasting. We want to give you different strategies and understanding of how we all can engage in our 21 days of prayer and fasting session. So again, Charlie, welcome to the discussion. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. Good to have you. Good to have you. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Charlie Rice. I grew up in this area, in Universal City area. I went to, the local schools, Samuel Clemens High School, whatnot, and have lived mostly in this area my entire life. Various, stints, various parts of the world, but always coming back here. And in and out of the government, like most people in this area, at my age, several times. And I'm currently self-employed, so that's pretty much it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we appreciate you, and it was good. From day one we met you, man. It's just been a wonderful thing. I know you are somebody who like to learn a lot of things, and so you've taught us quite a bit as well. And so you have an interest though in health overall. Tell us a little bit about your interest in health overall.
Well, as we age, the damage we've done to our body based on the way we've lived, the way we've eaten, and whatnot has accumulated and built up over the years. And at some point, it reaches a critical mass, so to speak, where you start to have ill effects. You're going to have various afflictions that people get. Could be something wrong with your thyroid, high blood pressure, could be various heart ailments and whatnot. And these things, for the most part, are avoidable, or if not avoidable, they're at least you're able to diminish the effect of them and live a long and healthy life. And so, as I started having some of these things occur to me personally, I started getting an interest in uh, in these things. And as I studied more and did more and more research, what I ran into was the eight laws of health and God's health message, and uh, and through that, I found other aspects of God's messages, based on all of the Adventist teachings, and was just fascinated and got more and more into it, and which is what led me to the church, and learning a lot of things about health, so, as
Awesome.
well as about other aspects of life.
For sure, for sure. And in regards to what we are doing now, because we are sanctifying, 21 days of prayer and fasting, and we want to be able to encourage and give people ideas of different ways of fasting and how it can be accomplished. So we all experience the many benefits, physical and spiritual, that God has in store for us. So you have today some experience with what we will call intermittent fasting. And so we want to offer that as also one of the ways that people can do. So we're going to go through, what intermittent fasting is, what are some of the benefits, how to actually do it, what's been your experience. So let's start off with the first thing, right? What exactly is intermittent fasting?
Well, for me, it's basically something we all do, whether we realize it or not. We stop eating at some point in the day, we go to sleep, we wake up, and we start eating again. That period in between was a fast, and then when we start eating in the next day, we break fast, we eat breakfast. So so all we're doing now with intermittent fasting is we're simply tracking it. We're measuring the duration, and maybe we're quantifying how much we eat and what we eat. And yeah, so once you realize that, all you really need to do now is document what you're doing. So if you stop eating at, say, 6 o'clock at night, and you eat again the next day at 8 o'clock in the morning consistently, you're basically doing a 14-hour fast every day.
Oh,
And what I did was, I started a little worse than that. I started out with, say, I'll go into that in a minute, but I started out with a 12-hour fast. That should be easy, right?
Mm.
And then I realized after about a month, this is way too easy. And I went straight to the 16:8. And from the 16:8, it just morphed into other things. And, where I get in multiple 20-hour fast a month, maybe two or one to three 24-hour fast, or even beyond that. I actually
Okay.
did 148. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm doing longer duration fasts yet, but I'll get there. I'm just kind of whatever my body's ready for is comfortable. And, but it's really not as hard as it
Right.
appears to be, which I thought, just forget it, man. I'm not going to walk around hungry for a day or two. That's just not happening.
Right.
Uh, but the thing is, you don't. So, and I'll
Yeah.
talk about that.
So technically speaking, based on what you just said too, I mean, we all intermittently fast, whether or not we realize it or call it that. Like the
Right.
fact that we are asleep and there's a break in between the next meal for several hours, that was fasting. Until we have the next meal again, we broke the fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, we've invented this term called intermittent fasting to basically give a name to it so that, so I do the 16-hour fast, I do the 12-hour fast, the uh, I do the 24-hour or the 70, the 72-hour fast, the 3-day fast, and all and they all have specific applications, and there's benefits to each one.
Right.
But there's some of these benefits in all of those fasts to varying degrees. So,
Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Well, for now, the next thing we want to delve into. So again, family, right? Intermittent fasting is again, just a period of time between meals, as it were, that you kind of stick to as a regimen, whether it's going to be 12, 16 hours, etc. And again, you can work up. Charles said he started with, was it 12? You said,
yeah, 12. I mean, it was
right?
relatively easy.
Yeah, and then he went up to do 16 hours and so forth. And now it becomes a habit to be able to do that.
Yeah, 16 is a minimum now. It's at a minimum 16, but generally I go beyond that, and just depending on how I feel or where, I as I developed, I now just do 2 meals a day instead of you know three. And occasionally I do one meal, but generally I do. And if I have that second meal very early in the day, then I get a very long fast by the next day, much longer than if I don't.
Okay. Well, for now, then let's talk about some of the benefits, then. Okay, because again, that's one of the beautiful thing I find about God, right? When God gives us instructions, command to do something, there's so many benefits attached to it, right? And we might only look at it myopically from one or two angles, but
Right.
God's, He said all these things are for your benefit, right? Because He came to give us life and life more abundantly. So there's the spiritual and there's the physical, right? So what are some of the benefits to intermittent fasting?
Well, there's many that do things that are very helpful to both your physical life and your spiritual life, because the Bible has so many instances of, in the worst of situations or when things are most impossible, what did people do? They fast. They would fast for various periods of times, and and cleanse their body and their mind so that spiritually they could connect with God. And so we've quantified some of those things, in this age, where we know what happens to our body, when we fast, and to varying degrees depending on how long we fast and what type of fast we do. So the benefits could be lower insulin levels, decreased glucose, reduce ghrelin, which is a hunger hormone, which is why I'm saying it's not really as hard as it appears, because you reduce that hunger hormone
Hmm.
and you're just not hungry, except for certain small periods of time, which you just wait those out, then you're fine. You get fat burning, ketosis, metabolism boost. When you're fat burning, you're actually burning fat you already have stored in your body, and you get it. You have lots of energy. You do not feel weak at all. You feel very energetic. You'll probably do more, and may account for the metabolism boost because you got all this energy burning. You get reduced oxidative stress, which is less inflammation. which extends your lifespan because
Mhm.
the less stress you put on your body and your genes, the longer they're going to last, the longer you can live.
I
You know,
think that's a myth buster right quick there because when you said more energy, is that what you said?
oh yeah, absolutely.
So
Uh,
it's busting the myth because again, some folks again, if I'm not eating or I'm restricting myself like that, we think that we're gonna be more weak or not have
well,
energy.
when I ran this
Have
5K
energy.
for the church,
Uh-huh.
I was fat. I was like an hour or 20 something, and I was so full of energy because it was just
Wow.
burning fat off all the places I wanted to get it off.
So
and
you were fasting that day as
oh
well.
yeah, yeah.
Look at that.
And
Look at
so, so yeah, I mean, and so it's definitely uh, now.
amazing. Amazing.
It depends on how adapted you are to the fast. It may take a while to get your body into that state, but just be consistent, and it will happen. But there's other benefits as well. There's so many improved heart health, blood sugar levels, blood pressure, blood triglycerides, total and LDL cholesterol levels, uh, improves type 2 diabetes. A big one, once you get, say, past 18 hours and higher, and the more you go, say, up to 72 hours, the more you'll get of this is autophagy, which is where your body actually breaks down anything that shouldn't be there, damaged cells, disease. It just breaks it down into amino acids and rebuilds cells with it.
Wow. Wow.
Protects against disease, including cancer, neurodegenerative diseases, helps prevent Alzheimer's disease, beneficial changes in genes, molecules for longevity and disease protection. Your HGH, human growth hormone levels increase, which will actually, once you do eat again, when you break the fast, it will actually help build muscle mass because you're getting HGH, which and you'll literally build muscle mass.
Okay.
And then again, once you get, say, in the higher levels, 18 higher, especially past 24 towards 72 hours, your BDNF, which is the uh, brain derived neurotropic factors like HGH for the brain. It
Mm,
actually grows your dendrites for your
wow.
connectivity between brain cells.
Hmm.
And according to the National Institute of Health, actually, it will grow new brain cells in certain parts of the brain.
And that's why I think we begin to go into the spiritual as well, because as the physical improves as well, so does they have a inverse reaction upon each other. But that's where I see the benefit coming in for us too, because on the spiritual level, because really and truly, it is our mind with which we worship God, right? And that's
Yep. Come,
the
let us
brain.
reason together. Yeah.
So that's where we say now the clarity that we get, we are building up our brains, and so therefore with that too comes much more clarity, easier probably to discern and hear God's voice and so forth and whatnot. So no wonder then the Creator gave us these principles to help us again. Physical affect the spiritual and vice versa, right? And the
Yes.
declogging, because sometimes we're clogged up with stress and with all these things, and so as the body now sheds some of that, we actually like rebuilding, we
Yeah.
repairing.
Science, once again, has caught up or tried to catch up with the Bible, but they're always several steps behind.
Yeah, good. That's a good point. Good point. So let's talk about, well, how do we actually do it, right? So
Yeah.
um,
Well, yeah.
as a
Well,
practice, how do we actually go about, okay, today I want to try intermittent fasting, what would I need to do to
well,
do it?
I can't tell you how to do it, but I can tell you how I did it.
Sure.
And so, I started out, initially I went into a plant-based diet, say, almost 2 years ago, a year and 3/4, somewhere around there. And that actually made it easier for me to do fasting, at least from what I read about it, because I cleaned up a lot of the problems, and I did lose uh, a bit of weight when I went plant based. But when I started fasting, I lost another 10 pounds.
Wow.
So, and then I stabilized. And I've stayed, with that weight loss off, but I haven't lost any more since then. Although I think there's still some there I should lose, but I, I'm not there yet. Uh, so I'm
For
not
me,
saying you're just going to keep losing and losing weight. At some
right, right,
point,
right.
your body adjusts as the metabolism adjusts, and you're going to
Yeah.
stabilize.
And we might
Uh,
have to do some other things too. That's why you might have to do some ab work, some.
yeah, I do. I go to the gym
Yeah,
and I do the rebounder. I do all the 8 laws of health and
there
whatnot.
we go.
But like I said earlier, I started with a 12-hour eating window, and
Hmm.
then I broke it into 16/8. And because I would be 16, I really wouldn't be hungry. My ghrelin is suppressed, the hunger hormone, and I'm like, well, let me just take this out. And I mean, and at one time I took it out as far as 48 hours before I felt the effect of I wasn't drinking electrolytes, and so apparently I can go 48 hours without electrolytes, and that's about it. Um, but if I would have had electrolytes, and you can easily obtain those, then I could have gone further.
Okay.
Just some sort of 0-calorie electrolyte mix that you can easily get on the market. Uh, but so the other thing that I realized is that with this eating window, I really don't want to eat 3 meals. It's just too much. I don't feel like it. I have no
Right.
desire to do it. So I started eating 2 meals a day. So one in the morning because I want to maintain my circadian rhythm, and then one when my eating period is over. When I want to start my fast. So I'm like, I'm not going to wait. Let's say I ate at 7:30, 8 in the morning. And so now I'm going to eat my second meal. If I go ahead and eat, say 11 or 12 around noon, that's my second meal. I'm done. And I'm not going to eat again until the next morning. And
Got
I'll
you.
easily get 20 hours, 18 to 20 hours out of that
Got you. Now, what about
without any stress, without any effort.
good? So, during the period of break, because let's say it's daytime, nighttime, of course, we're sleeping, right? But what about like water usage, water intake? Do you do?
I drink water. I'm
Okay,
not water fasting.
got you.
My understanding is you can't really go more than 3 days without water without serious risk.
Yeah. And that's why I want to clarify that too, because again, because so even on intermittent fasting, you're still drinking water. You're just not
Yeah,
eating food.
yeah, and I suppose if
Yeah.
someone's like in their 20s or something, maybe they could go much longer. But
Yeah.
for if you're, I'm not young, so uh, it would be reckless, and there's really no reason for it because there's no calories in water.
And I
And
mean, I'm younger than you too, but I'm not that young either. But I still want water because my thing, and that's why we said we just share principles. Like you said, hey, I can't tell you what to do. This is what I do. So that's good because we just want people to hear different ideas, different approaches. For me, I also see water as cleansing, right? So for
yeah,
me, that's why I want to kiss, and hydration too is helpful. So
exactly. It's part
water
of the 8 laws
intake
of
is
health.
important
So
for me, right? So I'm not interested necessarily. And again, those some people do it, and if you want to do it, keep that in mind.
yeah,
But like I said,
well, I
go
mean,
with the time.
there are instances in the Bible where in
They
the book
went without water as well.
yeah, Esther 4, chapter 4, I think in 4:16, they went without food and drink
And
for
right.
3 days. They
Mhm.
took it to the brink, because you can go 3 days before
Right.
you're seriously risking
Right.
some problems.
And
Uh,
and I think this is where it's helpful, Brother Charles, where we come in with the spiritual, because again, we don't want to, because intermittent fasting is a strategy that many people use, right? We are not trying to, for this, at least for what we are doing as a community, as a church community, we are not really trying to say we are dieting, okay? And I think that's what helps is when we are communing with God, when we are praying, when we, you know what I mean? It also helps to take our mind off of a lot of different things, so that way we are not like, oh man, my body, I need this, I need that, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So that's why I think a lot of the people in the Bible, that's another plus, even I know with myself, where if my mind is focused on Christ, that's where he now sustains us, probably even to go beyond what we think we can normally do.
yeah, and what I do is all the fasting I do is I'm very comfortable. I'm not stressed out about it. I'm not going watching the clock. When can I
Yeah.
eat again? I may be watching it just so I can hit a mark where I can do the math very easy.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. Already. Well, this has been very informative, and so I appreciate the insights that you have had. So, family, listen. This is something that you can try, you can apply to your life, and see how it works. Again, I'm sure that many of us probably have been doing this without even realizing it. As missionaries. So, I'll give a little experience with it, and then you can share your experience, and we close out with that. So for me and my wife, basically, so as missionaries, we actually started doing like 2 meals a day, 1 meal a day, and that because of the busyness you have on the mission field. And I remember the first time I saw them doing that, I'm like, there's no way I can not do 3 meals a day, until you start being busy for the Lord, and you'd be so engaged in the work. It's like you didn't even miss that third meal you know and so for me too, the way we go, eating is not really a big thing for me. Like I try to do what Solomon says: enjoy your food while you eat. So I'm not too big on trying to pick it with various dieting plans. I just do what the Lord says, but I want to enjoy my food and what I do. So but there are times for real, like sometimes I do 1 meal a day, and it's not because you're trying to starve yourself and so forth. And similar to what you say, not everybody's going to lose weight. Take my own self. I mean, for me, for my body type, and over the years, I've averaged roughly around, $1.35 for the longest, right? But I mean, I'm about 156 thereabouts right now. But to me, I'm like, even with that gaining weight is like, so it's not like I'm eating a whole lot to gain weight. So your body adjusts over time. But for me, it's really been helpful because for one, it's like you engage, but I'm not like in a place where I feel like I'm starving. Sabbath mornings is an automatic fast for me, at least a mini fast. The vast majority of times on Sabbath morning, I don't eat breakfast at all because I know we have in potluck. But I find that has helped. I'm not clogged up. I'm not trying to process a lot of things. My mind is there. Of course, I'll have, water. I'm always having water. And then, 1 or 2 times I'll have maybe a fruit, something like that, an apple, a pear, something like that as I'm going out of the house. But most of the time, it's actually just water until the potluck meal comes. And we function in normal, right? You know what I mean? Some folks see me there, you see, we pretty much go all day. And technically speaking, that Sabbath is like 1 meal because it's the potluck meal. By the time we finish sometime at church, it's nighttime. And some of you see me there sometime too. We chatting with people after church, and bless the hearts of some of the sisters, they gotta say, Pastor, go and eat. But it's you're not really focused on the food so much. So therefore, it's like, again, I'm not necessarily missing it, nor am I that really hungry, because even when I do eat the food, I sometimes I don't even get to eat it all. But yet the Lord sustains. So I think that is one of the key elements that we don't want to overlook. I believe that as you're doing ministry, doing the work of the Lord, your mind is off of self. God actually sustains you. And so let's not focus so much on food or the missing of it. You know what I mean? Because if we do that, then that's how we can get, wow, man, I don't want to do this. I need to eat. We're not gonna die if we miss a meal. Like most of us, we're not gonna die. So don't get so uptight with, oh, I can't eat and so forth. Focus on what you gain, the benefits Charles just mentioned, and the spiritual on top of that is, so they say, icing on the cake. Alrighty, Charles. So what is your experience? And we'll go out on that. Tell me, how has it benefited you? What's your testimony with the intermittent fasting?
Well, so you know, the Bible says you should pray without ceasing, and it's really hard to do that effectively if you have brain fog or if you have other health issues because you're just distracted. You're in in a fog. So for me, the fasting and the other things I do, related with the 8 laws of health, basically eliminated, a, you know, as far as I can tell, the brain fog that I was experiencing. I did lose a little bit more weight, probably about 10 pounds. I was with you, I was around 156, but now I've dropped it down to around 145 plus or minus, depending, on when I weigh myself during the day. And so, uh, you know, my HDL is, I think the last time I measured it, and like I said, I eat very healthy. It was in the high 90s. So, which is way, way, way above normal, but it's good. That's a good thing.
Awesome.
My total cholesterol was normal. My LDLs was in the low normal side, uh, and so my triglycerides, my doctor was glowing. Uh,
Awesome.
so, so
That's
those are
good.
really good. So
That's
like
very
so,
good.
I think it does. Now what to attribute it to the fasting or to something else or the synergistic effect of just doing all of these things together. I can't quantify that, but I
Understood.
do feel much better.
That's the key. That's the key for all of us. Already, listen, family, you've heard, the testimony, you've heard the little insight here. So again, try intermittent fasting, see if it works for you. But the idea is, again, we want to be both praying and fasting. And so we hope that Charles's sharing on intermittent fasting could be something that you can apply, especially now during this season. So again, we hope that we all make it through. Amen.
Amen.
Awesome. Alrighty. We out. Take care, everybody.